There is a controversy that tests the limits of absurdity that's going around right now. And those limits are there. They're there for a reason. They're there to keep humanity within the guiding lines. They're there to keep the boat within the navigational beacons. You know what I mean? They're there to keep the boat within the navigational beacons. And Southampton has gone way beyond that all of a sudden. Because they were spying on training. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. Allegedly is allegedly necessary in that sentence, but it seems pretty obvious. Like, let me just bring this to you. It would be an unbelievably elaborate scheme if we got to this point and Southampton wasn't spying on training, which is just a scummy thing to do. It is. Marcelo Bielsa kind of got caught, doing it before, but he was able to play it off as part of his "I'll literally do anything to win" shtick that he's got going, not going too well at Uruguay right now because the United States blasted them 5-1. I like Bielsa, but I think some of that, much the same as Jose Mourinho, I think some of that sheen has come off for him. But this is even weirder. This is even worse because this wasn't, this is an intern. It's an intern that's spying. Hold on, let me just catch you up on everything. EFL released a statement that Southampton Football Club, who, by the way, won their playoff semifinal and are scheduled to play in Wembley next week, has been charged with a breach of EFL regulations. The matter will be referred to an independent disciplinary commission. This follows a request from the EFL for the club's observations after a complaint from Middlesbrough relating to alleged unauthorized filming on private property ahead of the two clubs meeting in Saturday's championship playoff semifinal. Right, the regulations that were broken is that clubs act towards each other with the utmost good faith. Hilarious legal clause there. And then Regulation 127, which prohibits any club from observing or attempting to observe another club's training session within 72 hours of a scheduled match between the clubs. I guess 73 hours away, you're all good. Maybe that's what, the real hardcore dude should stick to. Under EFL regulations, Southampton would have ordinarily have had 14 days to respond. However, given the nature of the matter, the EFL will ask the Independent Disciplinary Commission to shorten the response period and to list a hearing at the earliest possible opportunity. And that's what's really interesting about this, is they're trying to get this done before the playoff final next weekend. And even though Southampton managed to beat Middlesbrough in extra time, right, Middlesbrough has continued to train because they are of the belief that there is a chance that they will be playing for promotion sooner rather than later, right? Instead of next year, maybe a week from now, right? They're continuing to train pending the results of this investigation. And then you start to see the pictures, right? I want to see if I can find one of the pictures here. It's literally comical. This is a picture of the guy at the training ground. It's an intern whose name, Will Salt, Billy Salt here, trying to hide behind a tree while filming the training with his phone, right? He's got the AirPod in and all that. But, they've very quickly been able to identify hey, this guy's William Salt. He is an intern at Southampton, and we think that we think he's been deployed to film the training. Which, let's be real, if you get caught this red-handed, I think the question becomes not did you do it, which is the question that they are still allegedly trying to answer. Right? The question becomes, what is the punishment for doing it? What is the punishment for deploying secret spy Billy Salt to go film this training session? And that is where things get interesting. They're going to try to actually turn this into a bigger deal than initially it appeared to be, right? Because this was just about Middlesbrough. But the penalty could be a lot worse if they're able to very quickly uncover the fact that this is not the first time Billy Salt's been deployed to the bushes. You know what I mean? They're looking to get, this according to the Times, phone and bank records for William Salt here, right? They're trying to get bank records to see where he spent credit card, he's swiped his card or tapped his card, right? Because he bought a coffee at Rock Hill Golf Club, which coincidentally they point out is owned by Middlesbrough's chairman, right? He went and got coffee at this golf club before going and actually filming the training. Phone and bank records can be used as further evidence, especially if the investigation includes allegations of spying on other championship clubs. It's also understood that Middlesbrough believe they have an important witness to call in their case to claim that Southampton have spied on other occasions. That person is given written evidence that Middlesbrough hope to use. So the question is now, to me, not whether they spied on Middlesbrough at all. They clearly were. But whether this was a one-time act of desperation or whether this star witness for the prosecution here, for lack of a better way to phrase it, is going to be able to prove that Southampton has actually been spying for basically the entire season or a large stretch of the season. Because let me tell you right now, if they're able to prove that, Middlesbrough is not training for nothing. Middlesbrough will be in Wembley next week. As absurd as that sounds, that would be the only fair outcome if it is uncovered that Southampton has actually been spying on clubs with Billy Salt. Maybe it's like the Culper spy ring. Maybe there's a whole network of alleged interns that actually are like MI6 agents that are just going around filming things on their phone and swiping their, tapping their credit card right down the street at the local golf club that happens to be owned by the owner. So it's pretty easy for them to figure all this stuff out. Okay, Maybe this goes super deep. And if I want to tie this into something else, Southampton's had an unbelievable run in the back half of the season. That unbelievable run in the back half of the season wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that they might have been spying on every team that they were playing. Would it? Probably not. Right? I'm a realist. I'm going to be able to tell you it probably had nothing to do with it or very little to do with it in this sort of spying. I mean, you're going to pick up on a set piece play or two and give you the advantage in the margins. But you can't say for sure, and that's the problem. Because it very clearly says in the rules that every team agrees to before the league season starts, you can't spy on the other teams within 72 hours of the match. And particularly when it comes to promotion playoffs of the Premier League, we're talking about games that end up mattering to the tune of over more than $100 million. Which makes it pretty unbelievable that considering how important all this shit is, that the best they can do is Billy Salt behind a tree with a phone. Like, if you really wanted to record somebody's training, it would be really easy to not get caught. It's fucking hilarious. Like, put all this to one side. It is hilarious that they were doing this. That a club as, in such important matches, a club that is just come out of the Premier League in the first place, right? A club that's got a ton of money. They got money falling out of their ears. They always do. Those parachute payments don't, they don't hit nobody's bank account. They hit yours. That the best they can, like, how do you not get caught doing this? What's your excuse that you're some guy passing by? You've been standing there for 20 minutes waiting specifically for the corner kick routine session of the walkthrough in order to pull out your phone in the first place. Like, my God, man, I've watched a few spy movies. I've watched a few spy documentaries, and I'm pretty sure I could come up with 100 ways that would be, first of all, buy a fucking telephoto lens, dude. You could be sitting a mile away somewhere. There's a nice grassy hill up there. Go sit in that fucking tree line with a telephoto lens. That stuff's expensive, but goodness gracious, shave a half hour off the wages of some of your players. Buy a telephoto lens, and you're not hanging Billy Salt to dry. This poor guy is like the first guy in line during the Revolutionary War. That dude's always dead because they just stand there and get shot. Right? That's what this guy's got going on right now. I'm not trying to teach clubs how to be able to spy on matches, but they got drones with telephoto lenses now. There's if somebody is training outdoors like this to the point that there is a fucking tree in a grass field like this, how was this your best plan? I don't know. There's so many options for this. Who knows? Who knows what goes through the mind of cheaters? But it seems pretty obvious, at least in the court of public opinion and based off the evidence that has been unfurled, that this happened, right? That they have a name, they're they're subpoenaing, I don't know if this is the right word, but they're getting bank records, they're getting whatever to try and prove that this has been happening more. So I think it's pretty clear that it happened here. And that's going to go to this independent court of arbitration, which has an accelerated hearing to try and to decide whether Southampton is actually going to be able to go through. And honestly, I don't think that they should, because this is so obvious. And I feel terrible for Southampton's players and their fans, both of whom had no idea this was happening, no involvement with this. But they weren't the people that were in the decision-making positions. And the people that were in the decision-making positions should be punished severely. They should be tarred and feathered in the public square for this. Because it's stupid. It's silly. And it's so easy to get caught doing this. Like, it's like trying to steal the cookie. It's trying to steal from the cookie jar in broad daylight here. Like, they literally, how often do you hear about some incident like this and it's found out in some clandestine way? Somebody literally sat here and took pictures of the guy. And they were like, hey, this guy's filming our training. Let's take a picture of him. That's a little sus. Like, the whole thing's incredibly goofy. And then now they're being all, like, weirdly butthurt about it. The second question at the press conference was, are you a cheat, to the manager? And then the like head of press for Southampton stepped in front and basically went, have some respect. You have some fucking respect. I'm all over, the British media for asking rage bait questions. They do it all the time. They're usually dicks, right? But this guy might have been able to word this question a little differently. But I think it is fair when there is a picture of your intern standing next to the field of the other team with a phone recording the training to go, hey, did you cheat? He said, are you a cheat? That's a very similar question. But that is a fair question. At the very least, to get the answer, no, we didn't cheat. I'm tired of people, trying to pretend that they're all butthurt when they're the people that did something wrong in the first place. Like, I'm all in for, innocent until proven guilty. But this also isn't a court of law. We're not talking about prison here. We're talking about civil legal proceedings. All right, we're talking about civil legal proceedings where there is a preponderance of evidence that you either can refute, you can go, hey, that's not our intern, Billy Salt. But if you could do that by now, you probably would have. Instead of just doing this.
To the game, and I think the performance speaks for itself.
Thank you.
Are you a cheat?
Thank you very much, Captain. Just show some respect. Just show some respect, that's all we ask. Thank you.
Show some respect. Shut up, man. Really? Like, that guy, I don't mean to go at that guy. He's just doing his job, right? He's been instructed by the club to shut down any questions like that. But I don't think it's an unfair question, right? I don't think it's a totally unfair question. I would have worded it a little differently, and that's it. Because if you end up in this situation, you think Bill Belichick during Spygate didn't get asked if he was cheating? I mean, if there's evidence of you cheating that has not been refuted, that's the question you ask. And Southampton, one way or another, whether they're going to do it in a press conference or not, is going to have to answer that question.